Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of the Everyday Pundits podcast. I apologise if we are a little bit quiet because it's quite late. Obviously we watched the Champions League final and then we had some pretty severe technical difficulties which took a couple of hours to sort out.
So we're on the night shift tonight,
we don't want to wake our respective families. So but we're back.
We back, baby.
Yeah, we back. Been a great week of sport. Lots of interesting things to talk about.
Not as much stuff on, but
but good.
Very interesting.
Yeah. So we thought there's no Formula One race this week. We're obviously prepping for Spa next week.
Can't wait.
So there's only really one couple of things really in the F1 and the cricket. So we thought we'd just gloss over those quick and then move on to the American.
Do you want to get the normal stuff out of the way?
Yeah. So only really one
housekeeping.
That's
little housekeeping.
I forgot about that. So timestamps will be down in the description below if you're watching on YouTube. Links to all our social medias will be down below as well. So go check us out. You can find us on Twitter and Instagram at Everyday Pundits. You can find us on Facebook as well. Just search Everyday Pundits and you'll find us.
We'll hopefully become a bit more active on social media soon. We're
pretty active on Instagram, but the other Facebook and Twitter not so much.
We're still trying to figure all that stuff out at the moment.
But make sure you go down, hit that subscribe button.
Yes, please do.
There's actually, I checked the percentages, decent number of people who are not subscribed.
Yeah.
So, I mean, out of the maybe 20 to 40 people that watch our videos, some of you are not subscribed. But make sure
we love you still.
Yeah, definitely. But make sure you go drop us a sub and make sure you drop a like and drop us a rating on Spotify and iTunes as well. Let's get into it, Ev. So, only really one big set of news in Formula One this week. Williams.
Kind of bittersweet news, isn't it?
It's bittersweet, man, yeah.
No longer owned by the Williams family.
No. Apparently unanimous decision from the board, though, so even...
It had to be. It had to happen. It was...
Yeah, it did have to happen.
I just think they couldn't keep up with the current climate.
I think it'll be good to see Williams back as a competitive team, hopefully with this cash injection, because really, they lost 15 million last year as a team.
That's too much.
Which, a team that's probably only got a budget of a couple of $100 million, unlike, the Mercedes and the Ferraris and, Racing Point with their big bank rolls. It's a lot of money for Williams, and it's just not financially sustainable.
So for those of you who don't know what we're on about, Williams announced that they were putting themselves up for sale because they just couldn't financially afford it, and they were bought out by the US-based investment firm Dillian. Dillian Capital. So there should be a big influx of money, coming
injection,
in. But this is, as Claire said, it is the end of the year for the Williams as a family-run organisation.
I'm hoping a lot of the Williams family will stay involved. At least on some level with the running of the company, because we don't want it to just be Williams and all, but name. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree.
Or name only, I should say.
Yeah, you don't want to have that fake thing of it's Williams as a face, but behind the scenes it's all different. But it's
what they needed more than anything was cash.
Yeah, because you've seen they've been so far behind for a couple of years
from
now.
The Mansell era and KK Rosberg, they've just fallen so far.
But I mean, the year didn't start off great when their title sponsor Rocket left instantly, and then
Rocket seems to sponsor a lot of things.
I'm
hoping new start for Williams, which they need. Hoping we can go back to the old Williams colours as well. I love those old Williams cars.
What, the blue, white and yellow?
Let's go back to that.
That would be cool if they could go back
and
to
hopefully seeing us, if I was George Russell on Nicholas Latifi, I'd actually be like, great,
give it another year.
By the time our contracts are up, we may hopefully be in a more competitive car.
But we'll see what happens next year, because like they said, the regulations aren't going to change much. But hopefully
nothing to change next year.
Hopefully they can just...
maybe we'll see a few upgrades come in.
You'd love to see that. I'd like to see them with challenging at least like that 7-8th spot.
Williams back in,
You want to see him up at the front, don't you?
Definitely.
That would be great for F1.
Absolutely.
And, we haven't really seen one since, a few years ago when they had that, when they were basically Mercedes B, what Racing Point is now, and they had that engine that
Who was driving with them?
Bottas and Stroll at that time. And then they literally, the year after, they just went to the back of the field and they had Stroll and Sorokin, and it was just, since then it's just been in free fall really. And But yeah, so we're hoping.
Yeah, I think hopefully we'll have more details by next week, so we don't want to spend too much time talking about something that we don't really have very many details on.
But the one thing we do think is that they are going to keep the name Williams.
I think that's pretty much confirmed.
That's probably one of the agreements that, you can take over, but keep it Williams. Yeah. I think that's important as well.
I think it's important.
It's sad. It would be sad to see a team like Williams with that brand and that name. Plus, it's just brand recognition that.
And I'm hoping we'll get a bit more details about the nature of the sale and what the role of
mainly the fee,
private equity. I would like to know how much they sold it for. Money. Personal interest, but let's just. Yeah.
So that's it.
Till next week, I think we'll have a lot of Formula because I love Spa, you love Spa, everyone in F1 loves Spa. So we'll have a big chunk on Spa next week. But let's move swiftly on, I think.
Am I moving over into the slips corner again?
Yes, mate. Shine the ball.
Yep.
Let's get... not very much to talk about again. We're going to try and keep it short and sweet on the cricket front. Again, marred by rain. Not much cricket's been played. I think we have to touch on...
the cricket we have seen.
The cricket we've seen. Fantastic cricket in this third test. Yeah. Obviously... beautiful innings from Zach Crawley. We spoke very highly of Zach Crawley in the first couple of episodes. Said he got a duck, but we think he's got a lot of potential. And we started to see some of that potential shine through. Yeah. Obviously, marvellous 250. To get your first 100 in Test cricket and then go on to make a double century and then 250.
Top 10.
That's a great debut.
Score in one innings, isn't it?
Is it?
Yeah, it's a massive score.
And obviously, Joss Butler, we said he needs to start showing he can offer something. Well, that's what we said when we said, he needs to prove that he's got something to contribute to this team. And he definitely showed it with that marvellous 150. And then Azhar Ali, obviously Pakistan were very much in at the deep end. After I think they were like 30 for 4 at one point or something.
Well, two people scored, over 400 runs? Between them.
I think Azhar Ali showing his class again. Yeah. We've had a quiet series from Babar Azam, which I think not many people were expecting, with given his crazy averages over the last couple of years. Yeah, because they are undeniably some of the best Test averages of any batsman over a given period, and I think kind of showed how much the Pakistan. Obviously, we had Shan Masood in the first game with 100. We've had Azhar Ali with a great 140 in this game, but it kind of shows you when a clutch player like that.
Yeah.
Just can't perform. It really does make it difficult.
Just so bad from the Pakistan bowling, really, wasn't it? Though, just such heavy,
expensive. Yeah. Not many people taking it. Obviously, we had James Anson with a fifer, which was big.
Yeah. The GOAT.
He's obviously showing his age is not slowing him down at all. Yep. He loves bowling under English conditions.
Just keep him here.
But I honestly thought coming into this series that the Pakistani bowlers would relish bowling in these conditions.
Well, they started to show it a little bit in the first test,
but I think too expensive. Yasir Shah went for like 100 and well over 100 runs from his 40 overs, which is
70 or something.
Expensive. Yeah. Shaheen Afridi also went for over 100 from his.
I think for Pakistan, you're kind of looking. They're probably a bit annoyed that we were robbed of that second test.
I think it would have, if they could have got into. It's hard to build up momentum when plays constantly being rained off. England obviously had a good spell and it's probably won them this game. Obviously Pakistan bowled that, are going to have to follow on now from tomorrow, but I think it's probably won them that game.
The problem is playing in this late into British weather is you're just asking for it, really, aren't you? I mean, you expect to see more rain than sun at this time, so
definitely
playing cricket, obviously
100%.
given everything, but I mean they can be, I guess, a bit happy with their first test performance.
I would say if I was Pakistan, I would be happy because it's a young team. Let's not beat around the bush. There's not a large wealth of experience in that team, in my eyes, and I think going forward, I would be very optimistic about the future if I was, a big Pakistani cricket fan, or if I would be very optimistic about their future potential because I think in a couple of years, especially that young bowling attack, I think it's going to be formidable. I'm still
reminiscent
of the Pakistan bowling attacks of old. I think
I'd still be a bit concerned if you're an England cricket fan of this team going abroad, and so when the Ashes goes down to Australia, I think they need some changes because I don't think it would be good.
I think. As much as people like to hate on Dom Sibley, I think his red ball batting potential and against a team like Australia, who thrive of putting teams on the back foot, I think he's going to be a problem.
Yep.
I'm throwing it out there. That could be a big big failure of a
and Burns as well.
prediction, but Burns, man, he's not having a good time.
He's the yo-yo, isn't he? At the moment,
but like Denley, man, goes through such big swings of his form.
But if Crawley can come in and do that, there's a third.
Crawley fits in. I think that between 3 and 5, he's a great person to have if he can perform like that on a semi-regular to regular basis.
Well, think about it. If that's coming in, you got Crawley, Root.
He's 22 or 23. Crawley. This is his first full Test series for England.
But then,
to get you 250 in your first series, it's under pressure in a very unique circumstance after a stressful year. Not much cricket's been played.
Nope.
If I was at Crawley, I'd be giving myself a pat on the back and just say, I got a couple of ducks.
You'd be a bit more confident if you're England when you see Crawley,
first
Root,
summer
then,
of English cricket. I'll be.
And if you see Crawley, Root, then Stokes coming in.
You got Ollie Pope, Josh Butler, Ben Stokes. I think, for me, this team has a lot of potential. Same with the Pakistan team. So much potential.
100%.
But in a summer we've not played too much cricket, I don't know how much emphasis we can take from these performances, because I think after a full summer of cricket, white ball, red ball, it would be, you could draw a much more
but also just uninterrupted days, really. It's hard to...
It's chucking down with rain, you get a session here, a session there, no momentum. It's hard to... Because that's hard for anyone to play under those conditions. And it's almost a thing unique to the sport of cricket, is how well you can perform when play is constantly interrupted.
Because you can't play under a dome. It just doesn't work. I know they do it in Big Bash, but that's different. It's 2020,
It would be because the thing is with Test cricket, the weather has such a big impact. The clouds, the humidity, how much moisture is in the air, and I think it would really affect the game of Test cricket if you did play it under a closed roof.
I don't think there's quite the budget in cricket to have a sliding roof.
I mean, you could maybe do 1 or 2 grounds that have proper stadium style grounds. I mean, you couldn't do that at Lord's, for instance. Just wouldn't be practicable. But I think probably spent enough time now, because again, not that much to talk about.
It's probably a weird week for our podcast. I think
this is the last game of cricket for the English summer that's planned. So I'm glad we got to see some, but I'm hoping not as much as you wanted. We can move on. I'm hoping, hoping we get to see some IPL later on. And
that'd be great.
So
can't wait to talk some T20.
Yes, I'm hoping we can maybe get some guests on to talk IPL. So look forward to that if you're a cricket fan.
Yep.
Anyway, moving on. Where do you want to go next?
Well, it's a return of football's on its arse, or in this case, half the players for Paris Saint-Germain were on their arse. No, but we'll start with.
I watched the game. To anyone that may be listening, so I have decided to try and take up some of the mantle on the football chat. So we shall see how this goes.
We obviously had...
Because obviously last week we left it just before the semi-finals.
Yeah.
So should we maybe go from there and then talk through the finals?
Yeah, I mean, the predictions didn't go great on my side, but, it's all right. It's all right.
I wrote, obviously, as I was watching the games, I took down a few basic pointers, and one thing I said, Leipzig were just pretty terrible, really.
Yeah, they were bad. Their defence looked at 6s and 7s.
Terrible, not good.
No, they were all over the shop, and Paris Saint-Germain really just...
I said, against a team like PSG... we've got your Neymars and Mbappes. And like I said, I'm an amateur football fan. I do, I like watching football, but, even I know when you got a team with that much attacking potential, why are you messing around with it?
Yeah, literally.
In your own, on your own goal line, pretty much. Why are you messing about with it?
Most of those goals came from defensive errors.
Well, you think, in most sports, if you've got a highly attacking team, you don't want to let them play in areas where they're likely to score due to their attacking prowess. You want to make them play in the areas they're not comfortable with, make them play in their own half, even if you're not having loads of scoring opportunities. If you can make them play where they're weak, like PSG are not a very strong defensive team.
Definitely not.
So if you can make them play in that kind of area, that's how you win that game. Just get rid of it, get it downfield.
Play long.
Don't.
Even if you haven't really got...
Watch my language. don't mess about with it.
Yeah, even
in areas where they're strong.
Even if you haven't got a long ball option, say you used to have a crouch or a hold up player, just play it long and just try and press them a little bit, because they do look like they'll give the ball back to you. But I'll give it to him. Neymar actually had a great game against Leipzig. Him and Mbappe just flips the switch.
It was their dream, the way that Leipzig were playing it. They're like, we get all this time down in their,
I may have got a bit too strong on the raving about Julian Nagelsmann and Upamecano and the Leipzig defence and how they played, because they were they were just all over the shop, and it just allowed Neymar to just basically do what he wanted.
Like you said, way too many defensive errors. Even me as a football amateur, I was like, what are you doing? Surely...
That third goal was terrible.
Not good.
So bad.
But Bayern against Lyon, that was a good game for Bayern. I think it set the tone for what we eventually saw in the final.
Move on to Munchen, let's say, because they were... a bit slow out the gates, Memphis Depay, I know he had a great chance.
Yeah, they had a great start, Lyon. Nobody can say Lyon didn't have chances.
No, especially
they just couldn't put them away.
First 25 minutes, you were a bit like, oh wow, like Lyon could do this again. And like I said, Memphis Depay took it round.
What's that man again? Neuer in goal.
He took it round him, but he missed. And then after that, they had a couple of tries. I know they hit the post again, but after that, it was just
Gnabry was
that well-oiled machine, wasn't it?
Gnabry's insane, bro.
Oh, that second goal. Oh, what a strike.
Well, he couldn't get a game for West Brom.
No, exactly.
Bayern.
Famously scathed by Tony Pulis.
Yeah, I did a bit of research into Gnabry.
Yeah.
And obviously, a lot of stuff I said, he was getting sidelined for people at
he wouldn't start.
West Brom.
Yeah, West Brom.
Now, just nowhere near his level of stardom. And I think you said sometimes if your face fits, then...
Yeah, just it's players and systems. It's like
what the manager thinks you're capable of. It doesn't always reflect necessarily. Probably
one of the interviews that Tony Pulis said hasn't really aged well, saying that he's not good enough to play at West Brom, and now he's shining at Bayern Munich, and obviously Lewandowski just continuing, just doing what he does
in the prime of his life, really at the moment.
He's in the form of his life. He is on a different level to any other striker right now. I don't think there's anyone that would take any other number 9 over him right now. I couldn't really make an argument for anyone.
I think one thing I will say as well is Neuer. I think obviously people know he's a great keeper. He really is an integral part of the Bayern Munich
back
machine.
To his best now.
Yeah, like he got some great saves in the Lyon game, distributed really well.
And he's just playing that sweeper keeper that he always was famed for.
He almost got caught out.
Almost
by Memphis
did,
Depay. Almost.
But he was. In the end, he recovered well. Bayern's defense then just shut up shop, really, and then they just controlled the whole game.
Well, let's talk about... Now, I think Neuer brings us nicely onto the final, actually.
So that obviously set up Paris Saint-Germain versus Bayern, which I did not pick. I did not see PSG making it. I thought they would choke again, but obviously they won 3-0, didn't they? And then that final.
Again, I think if we just nicely transition on to Neuer, I remember when we were watching it, I said it kind of almost seems like a battle of the keepers at this point because both teams are so fluid. In attacking play.
You've been watching too much NBA,
Too much NBA, bro. So fluid when they're playing attacking football.
Yeah.
Both teams are a little bit lapsed defensively. That really, it came down to Neuer made some crazy saves.
And Keylor Navas as well for Paris Saint-Germain.
And again, I think, although they have been lapsed defensively, even in that game, they didn't defend amazingly well. But what they did do was they kind of just shut off PSG's only way of winning the game.
Which is Mbappe.
Which was just crowd Mbappe and don't let him distribute or...
Try and make him beat you. Try and make him beat you another way. And
they feel like every time Mbappe had the ball, 3 defenders on him, just swamp him.
And they did it really well by dropping one off, but pressing him a little bit higher, dropping one off, and then just sticking a load of blockers, and it worked out brilliantly.
It did work.
They shut him down early in the first. I know he had a couple of chances in the first half.
Yeah. I mean, Neuer denying Neymar.
I think it was man of the match, Neuer, for me.
Yeah.
It was him or Coman, because Coman. What was... Mate, Thilo Kehrer needs to look in the mirror because...
He got schooled, mate. He was...
Oh, mate, he was just all over the shop, wasn't he?
Yeah, he got schooled.
I was saying, after he got beat for about the 5th time, I was like, just get him a map. He is lost, mate. He was gone.
Yeah, he was... Did they bring him off? No, they didn't, did they?
They did. They had to bring him off.
Herrera had a good game for PSG.
Tell you what,
really
Herrera,
good game.
Yeah, really impressed me, actually. But it's what he does at United, but he gives away fouls. He
gave away a lot of fouls.
Which
We'll talk about
definitely
some of the refereeing decisions.
But you got to say poor from Neymar, poor from Mbappe in the end.
I think Neymar was looking for a foul too often.
Too focused on that.
Too focused. Well, that's when you look when they were down, came towards the end of the game. He barely looked for anything because he was like,
if anything, Choupo-Moting came on and had a better performance. If I'm honest,
Mbappe just looks, every time he had the ball was the only time PSG looked like they were going to score for me.
And you noticed that Bayern were really worried when he got the ball. You were like, oh, okay, this guy. They were like, okay, here's the danger.
You could tell Bayern a drill, just say stick to him, don't let him have free reign.
Because he's brilliant when he's got open space, but he did struggle a bit tonight, towards the end. But it's hard because he hasn't got.
I think Marquinhos had a decent game as well.
I thought Marquinhos was brilliant actually, and kind of playing like in a midfield role, which he's kind of become accustomed to now. They've moved him out. He used to be centre back, and they've moved him out now into kind of a holding midfield role.
I think they gave away possession too much, PSG as well.
Sloppy,
trying to play, sloppy at the back, and just the strategy from Bayern worked to treat up the front, and they just gave away possession too often. Basically all their plan was ship it to the front three, Mbappe and Neymar and Di Maria, and they was like, get it to them. They're the only chance we have, because they're not only the goal scorers, they're the playmakers as well, really. But and then you got Marquinhos, and who else is and Herrera actually. He passed well, but their whole game plan revolves around get it to those three, work the magic. And as soon as Bayern just went as soon as we take that away, what have they got?
Exactly, and that was
they don't have the Alphonso Davies or anyone like that who can.
No, that was the point. They were pressing the fullbacks well in Thilo Kehrer and Wan Bernat, forcing them into mistakes. And we knew that Bayern, looking at the matchup, we knew Bayern's midfield with Goretzka, Thiago, and then Muller.
He didn't have a great game, Goretzka.
He didn't.
Neither did Thiago.
Surprisingly, what I thought they were going to do, just overwhelm them in midfield, didn't really happen, and it was just the pressing that got them, and capitalising on. The
midfield didn't make plays very well for the.
But I think going into half time, I think Paris Saint-Germain would have been the happier of the teams, because they had the better chances. Bayern Munich were really feeding off scraps, if anything, and then the second half came out, and Bayern flipped that switch. And I say flip the switch because I don't even know if they had.
I think you said it well when the game was on. They noticed that Kehrer was
he was struggling.
A weak link, and they just basically and the other thing you noticed is that side Alphonso Davies, so they just flooded that left wing, and it just left so much space out on the right. You could tell they just weren't interested in it. They were like, Alphonso Davies, he's a threat, he can make plays and ship the ball in. Literally, which is where, like you said, Bayern, that was where they were most likely to score, and that's where they did score, shipping the ball in and scoring. Lovely little not really individual plays.
No, it's just a lovely little ball, and
but they left Thiago. So much space on the right wing that Bayern, once they noticed it, they did start to exploit it a bit more. Yeah, and that's when Wan Bernat obviously went off injured. But the left, like I said, I thought, to be fair, I don't know how many defenders are going to be able to contend, apart from maybe Kyle Walker for City. But that Coman-Davis link-up play was nice to watch.
You look at that too, it was good to see, because I won't lie, at the start I questioned why they put Coman on.
Yeah.
Why they started him over.
Well, you said Boateng. Why did they start Boateng?
I still don't know why I think he's done. I think he's done at Bayern. I think his days are numbered. I think he's past it. I think he's running on empty. If anything, he's running on worn legs now. But yeah, I did say, why did they sign Coman? Because they've got Perisic, who's been playing phenomenally from that left hand side.
He made a big difference when he came on, Perisic.
Yeah, and they've also got Coutinho. So I didn't know. And then when you started looking at the game and how it developed, you're like,
he was the crux of all of Bayern's attacking play, really.
And now he was I would say unlucky to get a penalty, but it was a bit. It would have been harsh. But both, I don't think there were actually any clear cut penalties. in the game for once. Which brings us on to the main
refereeing decisions.
The refereeing, it was a circus, mate, if I'm honest.
It's got to be some sort of record for the most yellow cards in the Champions League final. It was just handing them out like
surely it's got to be for the amount of fouls. I say fouls with, I'm making obviously open air quotes here, because it was the softest game I've ever.
PSG.
A guy tripped over it. Yeah, guy tripped over the ball, and he got a free kick. I mean, it was a shocker in terms of that. It was. I don't want to say sad to see, because it's how football is now. It's soft. You're looking at the ref to make a decision. The classic, like our friend Harry said, don't force the referee into making that decision. But I mean, you don't want to see it like that. I
think teams were getting frustrated in the end as well, and then the fouls just started. Like Ander Herrera, he got a yellow card. And I think it just got to the point where he was just frustrated.
Yeah, well, there was that one flashpoint, wasn't there, where Serge Gnabry had a coming together with Neymar. It looked like he maybe touched him a little bit, or if Neymar, you couldn't really like say either way which one it was. Neymar obviously goes down flamboyantly and a bit,
kind of almost kicked off a
bit dramatically, and there was a flashpoint, and you look at the replay and you're like,
there's nothing in that.
There's nothing in it, and that was the case with a lot of them. You were just looking like there's nothing in half of these, and if I'm honest, the ref could have given out about 7 more yellow cards just for simulation, to be perfectly honest. But at the end of the day, Bayern Munich went on. They won it 1-0.
I think as well, for a team like Bayern, who construct a lot of their goals, you know what I mean?
They work it well.
They work it well. For a team like Bayern, obviously they don't mind going backwards. Obviously they had a lot of possession. And for a team like PSG, who have these bright sparks in open
to be honest,
field play and attacking play, when you don't have a team like that, when they don't have possession, it's frustrates them a lot.
Yeah, but I tell you what, they did a good job of silencing Lewandowski, who didn't score for once.
The post.
Yeah, he did hit the post, and he was close, but it was
a great shot though.
Yeah,
turn off his weak foot, and
it was a shame that didn't go in. But
it was.
He also had a header.
He did deserve a goal because he played really well.
Yeah, he didn't do as much as you normally see from him, but I think overall you got to say probably the deserving champions, Bayern Munich.
Definitely.
I think it would have been a bit hard done by for Bayern, but at the end of the day, I don't think the game was that uneven. I just think Bayern made the most of their chance, if I'm honest. I think that's all you can really take from it. They won their sixth title now, and if I'm honest, I don't know. I'm still going to back them.
Were any of the people from today in the last team? Boateng,
probably Muller, Neuer. There weren't too many because they won it against Dortmund, didn't they? And the last time they won it.
I cannot answer that question. I'm afraid.
No, they did. They beat Klopp's. That was 2-1, and that's when. That was at Wembley. That's when Ian Robben went through late and scored. But well,
PSG almost had quite a few chances in the last 5 minutes, didn't they?
Yeah,
they looked like they could have equalised pretty well, but that man Manuel Neuer just frustrated them every turn. Even when
he was offside, Mbappe, he still made a big save 1-on-1. I know he was offside, so it wouldn't have counted anyway. But it would have been.
Yep.
It was still an amazing save, and you got to say, probably man of the match for me.
Yeah.
So I think that's
get behind that.
Yeah.
That him or Coman.
Yeah, him or Coman. I mean, Coman just dominated down that left in the end, and Kara needs to.
Did he score? Was it scored as well?
Yeah, Coman scored. It was a
lovely header. Shall we move on? Because I know we have a lot of NBA related stuff we want to talk about. There's the Dillian Whyte Povetkin fight we wanted to talk about.
In fact, let's get to that now.
Want to do that now?
Yeah, let's do that now.
Okay, let's get into that. So obviously, Dillian Whyte, famously, you'll fight pretty much anyone. He's very active. Fights a lot.
Got a big mouth, that man, to be honest. But that's heavyweight boxing, isn't it?
It's part of his persona.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, I'm not saying he might not necessarily win, but he will fight anyone.
I don't think he's the...
If you offer him a fight, no matter who his opponent is, he doesn't duck very much. Do you know what I mean?
No, 100%.
He's very active. Because he's fought AJ a couple of times.
Yeah. But he fought AJ, he lost to him, didn't he?
He beat him in his amateur, though, didn't he?
Yeah, in his amateur, which is weight.
He's only had 7 amateur fights.
Yeah,
he only had 7 amateur fights before he turned pro.
But the heavyweight's very congested at the top.
You got a lot of good fighters, I think.
But where does he... So, obviously...
He's got a lot of not great fighters as well.
But anyway, going into the fight, we'll talk about who he can fight next, maybe, to get back.
Well, obviously, if he won this, he would have had the chance to fight Tyson Fury. Obviously, that chance now goes to
Povetkin, which
41-year-old Povetkin.
Well, that's just going to be that's not going to be a fight. Povetkin ain't got the stuff to beat Fury.
Yeah, and obviously, Dillian Whyte has fought. Obviously, he beat former world heavyweight champion Joseph Parker.
Yeah,
who obviously then lost his. I think that was that before or after he lost his.
He lost to Joshua first. Then
I meant before he became world heavyweight champion.
Oh right, yeah. No, it's I mean the fight.
Was that fight?
Were you?
Joshua Parker.
Oh, lucky. Lucky you, mate. I say lucky. The fight was crap afterwards because the ref ruined it.
It was a good night.
It was a good night, but the ref ruined that fight. Anyway, we're not going to get into that fight.
Good father-son time.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I think if you're Dillian Whyte, you might be looking at an Andy Ruiz possibly next to fight.
Yeah.
Like you don't want to go down to.
I saw people. I don't think this was. People were saying that Fury might not want to fight.
But Povetkin, he'll destroy it.
Yeah, but he said, I saw some people. This could never happen. But some people saying, oh, maybe Fury will just vacate and fight Whyte anyway, or fight Deontay Wilder. Because he's got Deontay Wilder 3, isn't he?
Well, Wilder, there's a time limit that I don't know if he's met yet. So there is a time limit on Wilder.
I can't see Fury vacating I think he'll do what will keep him with the belt.
Well, he's got what? He's got 2 fights set up for Joshua.
Supposedly.
Apparently. Well, apparently it's all been confirmed, so...
They said that last time.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
then it never happened.
But, I mean, this time they've announced, everyone's announced it. That's what they're gearing up towards.
I would have liked to have seen Dillian Whyte versus Tyson Fury because they're both people. Yeah. They'll fight anyone.
Yeah.
As soon as the purse agreed, let's go. Straight into camp. Let's get the fight done ASAP.
Yeah. So going into the fight, Whyte came out doing what Whyte does, controlled behind his jab. We know what Povetkin is.
Mature fight, didn't he?
Yeah, we know what Povetkin.
Until he got chinned. But
yeah, we know what Povetkin's going to do. He's got 30 seconds around, I reckon, possibly.
Because the thing of what I saw of the, I watched the fight, but for me, Povetkin has got his rhythm. He doesn't like to sit back and jab.
No.
As Tyson Fury calls it, tip-tap boxing. Doesn't like doing tip-tap boxing.
No.
He never throws punches just one at a time. He always throws, he'll never just throw a jab. No. He'll always, 3-punch combination every time because it just is rhythm. Whereas Dillian Whyte, for me, was boxing very sensibly, worked the body when he could, when he was in close, and then stuck behind his jab because obviously he's got a big reach advantage because he's a big guy.
I was going to say that's what Povetkin's always had to work against as the heavyweight. He's got an amazing record, like 36-2-1, considering his height and everything, But he's not he just looks like a little bit like Andy Ruiz. He just comes in and he's just going to stick short. What he's going to do. He can only really get you in short. He hasn't got a big reach. So, especially with these bigger guys that are in the heavyweight now. And he did get dropped though,
twice.
Yeah, twice in the the end of the fourth. You were like, oh okay, this is
Dillian Whyte just looked like he was cruising around that fight. I was watching thinking Dillian Whyte's won.
Looked like he won it,
but you can never count out a smaller guy with lots of power.
And ask Anthony Joshua about that.
Ask
Andy Ruiz
asking how playing the short game with a guy who's much shorter than you goes.
Very similar actually in terms. So obviously, Povetkin gets dropped at the end of the round. Twice, bit like Ruiz got dropped, and then you think, oh, okay. So then round 5 comes, and it's more of Whyte, beyond his jab. You're like, okay, he's gonna just see this out, maybe get him 7th or 8th, maybe you would have thought.
Yeah.
And then Povetkin just comes in
out of nowhere,
nice little sets it up perfectly.
Again, that little punch combination, getting close,
and hits him with the sweetest of uppercuts that we've seen since Joshua landed one.
I was going to say that's exactly how he got dropped against Anthony Joshua.
And then But
then again, the thing is, you got to say, I think if you hit a man like that,
out.
That's exactly how Joshua knocked out Klitschko as well. Remember?
Yeah, that's what.
With the big right on the button. That's what they call it, the button, for a reason.
Yeah, I mean that was
and they go off.
I mean that one was a bit different. He basically sent Klitschko's head into space. Yeah, his head into orbit, didn't he? Yeah. But mate, honestly, when he hit that shot, Dillian Whyte's lights were out.
Yeah, before he hit the canvas,
and that's what's scary. After seeing, I think one of the best knockouts I've ever seen was when Canelo Alvarez knocked out Amir Khan.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
I've shown you this many times because I love Canelo.
It's a great punch.
Ducks and then just knocks him out. And when they hit the canvas like that, when they got no control, you do get worried because you're like, oh god, paramedics have to come.
He didn't move for a minute, 2 minutes.
And
did not move.
I don't think Dillian Whyte's reputation will take as much of a hit as, say, Anthony Joshua, because he wasn't at as high a pedestal.
And I think nobody expected Ruiz to even remotely come anywhere close. Whereas we know Povetkin is a good boxer.
Yeah, we've seen it before.
I think losing to Povetkin shouldn't be considered. It's not like, oh god, he should never have lost that fight. Povetkin's a good heavyweight.
Yeah.
He's a good heavyweight. He's got a good record.
I'll tell you what would be interesting if we see maybe Dubois fight now, or maybe an Usyk, because I know Usyk's just come up.
Usyk again, yeah. I think,
but he didn't look good at heavyweight. All I'm saying.
I think Dillian Whyte needs to go back, work his way back up. You know, not saying he needs to fight terrible boxers, but he needs to, you know, get a few more confidence fights under his belt.
We're not going to have Chisora 3, you know. Like,
I mean, it'd be a great fight. Those two love going in there and battling it out.
To be fair, actually, Chisora or Andy Ruiz for me make the most sense right now.
Yeah, I think I agree with you with Andy Ruiz, to be honest. I think that makes the most sense.
I think it's a good stylistic matchup as well, you know. Kind of fight the guy who just beat you in a sense.
Yeah, because again, both of Povetkin and Andy Ruiz rely on people walking onto not saying walking onto, but you know, losing. It's a mind game, really.
Yeah.
If Dillian Whyte had stuck to the same game plan of stay far away, work the body when you can, when he's on the back foot, which is what he was doing in the first couple of rounds, you know, he was throwing smart, clever punches. He wasn't throwing loose punches and opening himself up like Joshua did against Andy Ruiz. He was just throwing hundreds of punches that didn't land and just left him wide open. But Dillian Whyte was boxing smart. He was, you know, working the jab, the accurate jab, didn't miss loads.
Yeah. And you also would have seen that. You probably would have seen what happened with Joshua and Ruiz. I know there's not as big a height difference with Dillian Whyte and Povetkin, but
how tall is Dillian Whyte? 6'4".
He's a stocky guy, but he definitely
he's tall.
You know,
he's a big guy.
Yeah, he definitely. I tell you what, he was looking in great shape though, wasn't he?
I think he said he came in 2 stone lighter than his last fight. I think.
Yeah, he's looking great.
He was around 18 stone.
Yeah, so like you know, like I said,
it's the best shape we've seen Dillian Whyte in for a long time.
100%, and I don't think we've ever seen him, but you know, having that little 2-inch reach, like height advantage, 6'4" to 6'2", isn't much at all, is it? So you know, you got that little bit of height difference, and you know, but it's not like Joshua Ruiz where it was like 6 inches or something, you know. But
how tall was Ruiz? Like 6'1" or 6 foot?
He's not tall at all.
Anthony Joshua's 6'6", 6'7".
6'7", he's massive guy, but you know. Like, you look at Ruiz, he is also 6'2", so.
But that's the thing with the smaller guys like that. Yeah. Unless you're like Tyson Fury big, who loves to fight in the clinch. Like Tyson Fury loves the clinch. He scores a lot of points in the clinch. And he loves using his weight. And he is so tall that it's hard for short fighters to you know, do serious damage in the clinch, and he just weighs down on people.
Tyson Fury,
your strength,
completely unorthodox, isn't he? Like you can't.
If
you're a big guy, if you're a big guy, the first thing they're going to tell you is stay away from the clinch. You know, stay outside, use your range, use your reach. But he gets inside, dirty box. You know. Yeah,
but that's the thing. He loves the clinch. He scores a lot of points in the clinch.
Lives for it.
And that's the thing. For instance, with Tyson Fury, he will lean on the smaller guy, and because he's so tall, they can't do serious damage. Trying to punch 6-7 inches, because he's 6'10".
Yeah,
Tyson Fury. If you think if he was to fight Andy Ruiz or Povetkin, like his next challenge is Povetkin.
Well, we've seen him fight.
6'1", 6'2".
Yeah.
He's 8 inches higher. Trying to punch a guy who's 8 inches above your head is difficult to do serious damage, because it's not a natural punch in action for a boxer. So if you think he can lean on Povetkin, and because he's, like you said, he's maybe got 30 seconds in him, Povetkin. Yeah. That's where I see that fight being lost for Povetkin rather than won. Is all the strength will go out of him in the clinch, and you've got a guy who's that much taller than you, leaning down on top of you and you know, sapping your strength.
But we've seen Povetkin obviously on that Joseph Parker card when he knocked out David Price. Yeah, you know, and I mean, we've seen it do it, but we've seen Fury face smaller guys. Those are the only people who've really given him trouble. Anyone about his height, they just don't know how to contend with him. But smaller guys,
you said, you can't plan to fight Tyson Fury. You got to land a big shot like Deontay Wilder did, and even then, he'll probably get up. You cannot come up with a game plan to fight Tyson Fury, because if you do, what he can fight. You know, say he's boxing, you come up with a plan to fight him when he's boxing orthodox, and he starts losing. You just box southpaw, and your plan's out the window. Or you know, if you got a plan to, you know, try and dance around him and play the Tyson Fury guy, he just come up and brawl with you. You cannot plan to fight him, and that's not how you're gonna. You're not going to win by trying to make a plan to fight Tyson Fury.
Just give us Fury Joshua now. enough waiting.
I'm sick of waiting. It's been 3-4 years now waiting for that fight to happen.
All the trash. So I can't wait for the like gloves are off, the face off, whatever you want to do.
But you've got to think it's going to be a long time because there's Wilder Fury 3 in 2021, so it's going to be at least 2022.
COVID stunted all of this, isn't it? Like,
well, it's going to be at least 2022 before that fight happens.
Yeah.
Because if you think there's going to be Povetkin, Fury, because he's
or
the challenger.
Wilder. It depends how because they might have had a rematch clause written.
I think they
in,
do because that's already been confirmed. Fury Wilder 3, isn't it?
Yeah, he basically signed it after he lost. He was like, "Yeah,
so he's got to do that fight." Remains to be seen whether he'll fight Povetkin.
Yeah.
Because Joshua's got another fight lined up.
Yeah, he's fighting Pulev, the Bulgarian heavyweight. You know, good little fighter. I don't think he'll do much. He hasn't really fought anyone great.
Unbelievable.
No, I mean, he fought Huey Fury, you know, and obviously Chisora, you know. Chisora.
Yeah, Chisora.
He ain't it. Like, I'm sorry, Chisora's just been known for his antics more than his actual boxing.
Yeah.
Although, like I said, Dillian Whyte, Chisora, just get the money in, mate. Get it in. Put it on the undercard.
I think Derek Chisora is one of them fighters that gives boxing fans the fights they want to see.
Yeah.
You know, and again, words of Tyson Fury, Chisora doesn't do tip-tap boxing. He's looking for a knockout.
Exactly. He's in there for one job, and he's just a destroyer.
Yeah. He's an entertaining fighter.
However, both their fights were amazing. So, you know.
Yeah.
People are still content that Chisora was robbed, but, you know.
So how do you see, you know, the next round of heavyweight bouts playing out then?
I think, well, it depends. If you're on about the immediate future, I think Fury is going to fight Wilder eventually. I think.
And I reckon Fury will.
He'll do again.
Yeah, do exactly the same as he did the first time.
It's still maintained that Fury's won both fights, but you know we'll leave that to the judges. You know, whoever scored that first fight.
I ain't leaving it to the judges. He won both fights.
Yeah. I mean, you know, how they didn't score him the win. Anyway, I'm gonna leave that because I'll just go into a whole little rant. Yeah, a whole little diatribe about those refs. And then you've got. I think Joshua's going to walk through Pulev, if I'm honest.
It won't be a big contest in my opinion.
Nah, I think it's going to be I think he's going to do what he did with with Ruiz. Sorry, he's just going to stick behind his jab. You know,
he needs to do that. Smarter. He's not a brawler. I think we learned that from the Ruiz one fight. He is not. He's a tactical puncher, picks his punches well, puncher, yeah. Hits the big punch when it counts, when he sees the opening. That's what he needs to do. I think if he's going to have any chance of beating Fury, that's how he's going to do it.
I don't think people give him enough credit for his actual technical skill.
Extremely good boxer to watch technically. His technique is unbelievable.
Yeah. And, you know, he's been coached well. You can tell that he's not a crap boxer.
He's got all the attributes you want from a heavyweight. He's big. He's tall. He's very strong. Yeah. He punches accurately. He moves pretty well for a guy his size. But again, if he's going to fight against Fury, he needs to stick to what he does well, which is box technically and take the openings where he can see them. Because that's the only way. Because if he stands toe to toe, he's going to lose. If he tries to do the whole dancing around the ring, it's never going to work because he'll just gas out in the first 5 rounds. Yeah,
it's going to be a tough fight for Joshua either way. You know,
it'll be what cements his status as either one of the greatest British heavyweights of all time, or you know that whoever wins that fight will go down as one of the greatest British heavyweights of all time.
Possibly the best, but you know.
You could say that.
I think there's a chance that you could say it, but you know we'll wait to see because you know
there's been so much hype about that fight for so many years now.
Yeah, you know you got these great boxers. We've never seen them fight. It's going to be an amazing stylistic matchup. You know, I think Joshua is a better boxer than Wilder, quite clearly. If I'm honest, like I've always said, he's got one.
I'm not interested in that fight anymore.
No, I don't want to see it again.
Now it's not a world title fight. I'm not interested in the Joshua Wilder fight.
But Joshua Wilder?
No, I don't want to see it anymore. Just go straight to Tyson Fury, Joshua, in my opinion.
Because Joshua will just... I know he hasn't got as good a chin, probably.
A lot of the attraction to that fight for me was the world heavyweight title aspect. And now obviously Tyson Fury holds that belt.
Yeah.
I just want to see that fight
just
now.
Unify it and then
if
get
they were
going
to do that fight, they should have done it 2 years ago before Tyson Fury fought Wilder the first time.
Yeah, that would have been the fight. And then, obviously, who knows if Joshua wanted to fight him when he was going on that run of just destroying people with that right hand.
I just don't see that fight selling if they do it now, to be honest.
Yeah, you're right. Like, where's the interest? Who's going to be like, oh, yeah, I'm going to pay, 20 quid to watch that?
Yeah, it's a fight over nothing now.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, when you've got 2 heavyweight champions in the division... And you got to unify that belt because all the fights after that will sell much better. From a money making standpoint for the promoters, unifying the division would be the best thing they could do. Have one big massive unification fight, and then you could have all the fights after that. for me, it makes more sense. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but
Yeah,
for me, that
100%.
makes the most sense.
This is,
You know, we know if they want to make the most money, that's what they got to do. Because obviously, it's obvious they want to fight each other. So really, it just comes down to cash. Why they haven't done it already?
No. I love how we said we were going to touch on the boxing, and we've.
Yeah, it's been quite a while. Should we move on to the NBA?
I think we should. I mean, I think we've given a pretty comprehensive heavyweight boxing.
We got a lot
now.
to talk about. Obviously, playoffs. Where do you want to start?
Strap in for another long one.
Which matchups do you want to start with?
I think we'll start with possibly one of the most competitive ones recently is the Mavericks Clippers. I mean,
I think
I
think that's game one. I think game one you saw where maybe the Mavs are a little bit weak.
Yeah.
I would say they just didn't play with enough conviction.
Yeah.
Too much mess around with it and not taking shots.
Obviously, the big turning point in that game had to be the ejection of Kristaps Porzingis.
He wasn't firing even when he was on. He was much quieter than he normally was. So he hit a few decent threes, but
it didn't give it the time because it got ejected in the first half, and there wasn't the time for them to build up what they do with that pick and roll. And
I think Doncic showed a bit more of what he's capable of.
Luka, he just for someone who hasn't played in the playoffs yet, you're amazed at this guy's poise and this guy's, I mean, he got 42 points, which you don't normally see from people in their first playoff game. You don't see a 42-point night, and 42, 7 and 9 is very good. And I mean, they only won by 8 points, the Clippers. So and then game 2 rolled around.
But I would say as well that because this comes relevant to game 2 as well. Lou Williams and Kawhi Leonard are just in a league of their own on that field.
Oh, scoring!
It's just crazy. I know the Mavs won game 2, but even in that game, Lou Williams and Kawhi Leonard, they just were unstoppable.
100%. They were all over. Especially in that first game, Kawhi Leonard. I got to give it to Kawhi Leonard. He's been there.
He's been crazy.
I mean, I know he was Finals MVP. Everyone knows how good he is.
I've been watching I've been watching basketball for about 3 weeks now.
Your Americanisms are coming in now, aren't they? You're just going to start saying bang every time.
As an expert who's been watching basketball for all of 3 weeks now,
you can count yourself as an expert now. So obviously, we said the series would be close. And it's proved that. I mean, the game finished tonight.
We just watched it while we were sorting out our technical difficulties.
What a thriller, the overtime game. 135-133 Mavericks
Game 2,
take it
though,
in the end.
Mavs were very good defensively.
They've stepped
messed up a lot of Clippers scoring opportunities.
Yeah. Historically, they've been one of the worst defensive teams this year.
I know. They were really defending well in game 2.
Yeah, they've locked in. Rick Carlisle's got them playing very dogged defense. I think the Clippers do miss Pat Beverly a little bit on that perimeter, to stop your Luka Doncic's and your Porzingis. Really, he's a good disruptor, and he just gets in there and messes up the whole plan. And missing him from game 2 onwards, you can see they are struggling on that perimeter.
Obviously, Luka with that crazy 3 with half a second left on the clock. Win it. Just the stats from the game were enough to show you how good it was. 43, 17, and 13 in a playoff game. And then a point down, 3.7 seconds left to go on the clock. Inbound the ball, you're deep on the wing, and you step back, you get the matchup you want, Reggie Jackson. I'm still questioning why they didn't put Kawhi Leonard or Paul George on him defensively, or Montrezl Harrell even. I mean, I don't know why they haven't put the right defender on him, if I'm honest. They put Reggie Jackson on him. Luka Doncic probably was oh my God, He had a lot of time to
step
make
back,
that shot.
Hit a beautiful. I mean, I know it rattled a little bit, but the confidence of the young kid to just take that on, in his.
Porzingis fouled out again.
Yes.
Game 3.
I don't know what he's doing. They just keep fouling out, and they keep messing
on a rampage,
up.
Bro.
Yeah, but
the man is on a rampage.
Listen, if you don't know by now, you should know. Luka Doncic is the future. Keep Zion Williamson. Keep everyone else. I'm taking Luka over anyone young right now.
Yeah.
Any day of the week.
Anyone.
He is. So anyone 23 or under, I'm taking Luka. I'm sorry.
Yeah, man. How old is he?
He's 20, 21. He's ridiculous.
No way. He plays such a mature game for someone that age.
Well, that's the thing. He played.
Does not crack under pressure.
He played for Real Madrid in the European system since he was 14 as a pro. So he's been tested against pros, whereas these other guys from America come out and play college, and they're playing against other rookies, and they haven't really got the same style to their game. And you can tell the game's so easy to him. for someone who's come in, he just is so easy.
He always looks like the person they turn to when, whether it's they want to set up an offensive play or whether they need someone to just, drop a three from...
I've got to give it to the Mavericks bench and other role players like Seth Curry, Trey Burke.
Seth Curry I was really impressed. Especially the link-up play with Doncic. He linked up really well with Doncic.
Big 3-point shooting from Finney Smith as well.
Great, really good.
Very good. Really good. I think that's enough on that series, mate. I think we've covered all we can.
Do you want to do Celtics and 76?
Oh, well, that sweep. That's over, mate. Like I said, the Ben Davidson.
Well, this is just basically that series was just Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown.
Tatum, yeah. And then Kemba took over in the latest game.
Kemba Walker played really good,
mate.
Bro.
I tell you what.
But Jason Tatum, bro, he just styles on other teams. Just styles.
If there's someone he reminds you of, Kobe, started his game off him, and that's, his idol, and he trained under him for a while, but
76ers give away a lot of possession just for no reason.
Yeah.
Like, it really hampered their scoring opportunities.
Brett Brown, the coach, has had a shocker so far.
If it wasn't for Joel Embiid, they would have got destroyed.
They did get destroyed, and they still... he made it closer. Yeah, you're right. He made it closer and more respectable than it really was.
I don't know if you saw that 3 in game 2 from Jason Tatum out of nowhere.
Mate, he is amazing. I think he's probably the closest person that you take outside of Luka Doncic if you're young. Like, it's him, Devin Booker. There's other, but
it's actually
Tatum's been amazing.
Philly started really well.
Yeah, they've played
in game 2. They started off really well. They were the ones playing all the pressure, and then they just got dominated.
Considering they haven't got Ben Simmons, their best perimeter defender on the court, and their offensive initiator, he did right. Like, they got swept, but not being blown out in these games. But you got to say the 76ers. Not good enough, really. They talked about this trust in the process, and when it comes down to it, they got knocked out last year by Kawhi Leonard and his unbelievably lucky 3 against the thing, but he made it. And then this year they've just been swept. So, like I said, Philly, it's just
not much to talk about, really.
They've just been. That's the thing with most of the East. Really, you got the Raptors that are just dominating the Nets, as we said. Miami playing close games, but at the end of the day, just overpowering the Pacers late, and just 3-point shooting for once. Looking good for my Heat, mate. And coming up against the Bucks next, who actually...
Bucks Magic was
struggled.
Not a bad series.
I went out on a limb saying that they would, sweep.
They got schooled.
And they got schooled, yeah. Game. You're right. And even like you said, even though he scored 35 points, Giannis, it wasn't a good 35. 35 points is good, but it wasn't.
Yeah, because the thing, even in game 1, he still scored.
Yeah.
35 points is it's good, but he couldn't get in that rhythm. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, he was kind of very lackluster.
Because you said from the start, Giannis for MVP.
100%.
But he couldn't put in those MVP performances. Yeah, he's scoring, but none of the setup play was there because just constantly stifled.
But he did turn that around, like we said. The rest of the series, he's looked more like MVP Giannis. So that's the East. The East is basically the next series of the East will be really good. Because you'll have the Raptors going against the Celtics. You'll have Bucks, possibly, if the Bucks can get past the Magic. I'm not going to say they're going to get past them because I was wrong first time. But it's probably going to be Bucks Heat. So you got those 4 teams who were the class of the East.
We haven't talked about.
And now we'll get to the West. And we talk about what we saw from the Blazers in the first game.
Unbelievable performance.
Dame Dollar. Dame Dollar, baby.
Insane, bro.
He just knows how to light it up, doesn't he?
Yeah, man. I think what sets him apart from a lot of the other offensive players, they score mad points. And, Damian Lillard scores big points every game. But, his work rate is just phenomenal. It's a bit like, a lot of the other offensive stars, they just look quite sluggish sometimes.
Yeah.
They're not making themselves available, trying to get into space. You'll cover half the court, in a couple of seconds to try and get into space to make an offensive play.
Fights through screens, doesn't he? Yeah. Very similar to Steph Curry, actually, in the way that he fights through screens, really gets himself open.
Yeah, because like you said, he's 6'2". He's not short by normal standards, but by NBA standards, he's not tall. Yeah. And he, like you say, he just charges up.
Fearless.
Yeah.
He isn't afraid to take it amongst the trees, as they say.
No.
But they stunned them in game 1, and then they got destroyed in game 2.
Destroyed.
absolutely. I mean, that game wasn't. Even
LeBron
close.
and Anthony Davis are just.
LeBron had a very quiet game. You know,
great
he scored
in game 1. Great
10
in game
points.
1.
Yeah, and then very good in game 3 as well. He completely took over. Was LeBron down the stretch that we need? But game 2,
Kuzma actually had a few useful inputs in the series so far.
Kuzma's very impactful for that team. You know,
I think he's like flies under the radar a bit.
Yeah, because you see Anthony Davis, you see LeBron, you're like, okay, there's the stars, and then you look at everyone else, you're like, who's really that third piece that they need? And maybe it's
they
Kuzma.
didn't have a good game, like in the second game. I gotta say, like in terms of as individuals, like I'm pretty impressed with everyone from Portland. You know, like Nurkic, CJ McCollum, Gary Trent Jr. They're all looking pretty good.
I'm amazed he's picking LeBron at full court, mate.
If they didn't get the Lakers in the playoffs, I
think they've actually caught the best team they could have. Because the Lakers struggled, like they look like they've been struggling against Portland, but
they dominated game 2. I mean, it's anybody's series at this point.
Yeah, game 2.
It's
but obviously, game 3, the Lakers came out. They won by 8. You know, LeBron was LeBron.
I think 2-1. 2-1. You can't feel too disheartened if you're Portland.
If you're Blazers after 3, you'll take that. That's what you probably. You know, obviously it's not what you want. You want 3-0, but considering what you were projected,
like when you got LeBron and Anthony Davis on the other team, you gotta be worried about who you are.
Oh yeah,
because those two will just dominate you.
Yeah, 100%. And then the other series, I'll tell you what, Donovan Mitchell has absolutely exploded against the Nuggets, and he's looked incredible. Very very unlucky against the in the first game. You know, they lost a close
Donovan
overtime.
Mitchell and Clarkson for Utah. He stood out
huge. But you know, obviously the first game he scored a massive 57. You know, you don't normally see that, and then he followed up with a 30 and a 20. So
they're both pressing really hard defensively. Yeah. So like a lot of scoring opportunities squandered. I think for the Nuggets, Jokic and Michael Porter Jr.
Michael Porter Jr.'s exploded now.
Yeah, they were good, but it just wasn't enough.
No.
Wasn't enough to offset.
You know, Jazz has taken a very, I wouldn't say commanding, they're taking a assertive 2-1 lead. I mean, they absolutely destroyed them by 37 in the game 3.
Clarkson,
Gobert, the Stifle Tower, mate. You know, that's his nickname. You know, that's what he does. He's good on that block. You know, kind of like what Roy Hibbert used to do for the Pacers back in the day, and you know, just get in there, rim protect, and you know, 100%. Don't have to do much else. He's not a scorer by any means. In fact, he's actually a hindrance when they play. But yeah, you're right. Jordan Clarkson's taken another step from where he was.
Yeah, definitely, man.
With the Cavs.
I got a big interest in this week's game. I tried to watch all the games I could, but you know, as a sports fan who's also an adult, we sometimes have to pick the game to watch. But I'm loving NBA at the moment.
Life gets in the way sometimes.
I think like. It's the sport at the moment, like in terms of spectator sports, and me, I'm loving watching it, enjoying learning more about it.
And finally, a series that
Houston OKC
didn't look close. I mean,
bro, James Harden.
Yeah, he's having his way at the moment.
He's just insane.
He is. I mean, the guy he's different level right now to where where people thought he was leaving OKC. He's just different gravy right now offensively.
Oklahoma just seemed to like switch off. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
They switch off.
When
they start to go under, they just
their heads go down, don't they?
Yeah, they just switch off. And like another person stood out for Houston, Jeff Green.
Yeah, mate, he's turning back the years,
really
mate.
Good, man.
We haven't seen Jeff Green like this since he was at the Celtics, mate.
They just dominated all areas of the game. Like they dominated defensively, they dominated offensively. It's hard when for Oklahoma, just to be like, what can we do?
But tell you what, they came back well in Game 3. Oklahoma, good.
What was the score?
It was 119-107 in overtime, but obviously James Harden fouled out.
Who would your standouts for Oklahoma be?
Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, mate. It's like a tongue twister, mate, his name. But he's really stood out for me. Chris Paul, timeless wonder at this point. I mean, what he's doing with that team is fantastic. I didn't think they were going to make the playoffs, and they're only 2-1 down.
You're still thinking Houston going to win that series?
Yeah, I think Houston are doing this without Russell Westbrook.
Yeah, and you said a couple of people didn't anticipate them doing this well with no Russell Westbrook.
No,
but like James Harden just seems to have gone right. This is my team now.
Get in that backpack, boys.
He's like, this is my team.
Literally,
and if I have to carry the whole team, then
But that's what he'll do, and probably for James Harden, the best thing that's happened is, Jeff Green showing a bit more. 22 points last night was brilliant.
The powerful beard.
Yeah, and he's going back to all James Harden, now. ISO ball, clear out, give him that ball, top of the key. He's going to take 17 seconds off the game clock and the shot clock, and he's just going to fire. And he just
100%, bro.
Works inside, and the OKC defense are struggling to, he's very good at drawing the fouls.
Yeah, dominant. I know I use that word a lot, but it's dominant.
So at the moment, there's no clear cut in the West, no clear cut favourite for me. I don't think there's one team that's really stood out head and shoulders above the rest. I mean, the Clippers look good at times, but they don't bring it for a full game, and the Mavericks have caused them problems. The Lakers are struggling a bit with the Blazers.
I think it's probably a pretty of all of them. It's probably one of the most equally matched series. I mean, not on paper, but just based on
playstyles of
not even playstyles, like the momentum of both teams.
Yeah,
both teams know they could take the series depending on how well they play. Really,
yeah. I think the Lakers.
That just sounds very obvious, but they're both in good runs of form. Maybe not the Lakers so much actually.
No, the Lakers came into it a bit.
Portland, they're on a good run of form.
Yeah, now they've got the 2 wins under the belt.
Like obviously the second game performance, they just rolled through Portland.
Yeah,
and I think the rest of the series, it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. It's definitely one of the most entertaining.
1-8, yeah. For a 1-8 matchup, you never really,
Yeah, 100%.
You never really see that much, but
Yeah,
that's good. It's been good for the NBA and the next series.
Yeah, I've been loving it, bro. 100%. Definitely gonna stay involved with watching it.
Good.
Now on.
So these series will conclude by the time the next one comes out.
Yeah,
so definitely. We should have maybe the next series, and we'll probably preview that. But yeah.
Yeah. Anything you want to say about the Nets Raptors game?
No.
No,
it's over. The Raps are too good for them. Without Kyrie and Kevin Durant and the other players, the Nets aren't a team that are going to.
So many big names.
Exactly, and this is what we said before. It's just going to be Raptors. Raptors are a really good team. Like people didn't give them enough credit or respect after Kawhi left. They just won the championship. Kawhi, the best player, leaves. Nick Nurse did a phenomenal job, but no, I don't want to talk about them. It's over. It's done.
Okay, fair enough. I will.
Very, very damning indictment, I know, but
100%.
That's just how I feel, mate. I think it's done completely.
So looking forward, in terms of sport over the next couple of weeks, anything you're really obviously Francorchamps.
Well, I'm not looking forward to the fact that the Canucks have got to play the Vegas Knights, but they did it.
Yeah, they won the series,
as
you
defending champs
kindly told me.
Defending champs, the St. Louis Blues. You're out, baby. You're out to the young Canucks. I mean, I was shocked. They were 2 games. They just had a flurry of goals.
Yeah, man.
They were 3-1.
Say that. Do not watch hockey.
Well, they were 3-1 down in game 5 to the Blues. They were 3-1 down, and it was like, okay, well done, boys. Give them a pat on the back. You've done well to get it to 5 games. And then all
enjoy
of a sudden,
just following this young team's progress and see how they go.
Coming of age, mate. And then they absolutely just put 3 goals past them. Tyler Mott had an unbelievable game. I'll tell you what, his first goal to go around Petrugolo for the Blues. Just, I know he didn't have a stick, but he just took it around him, one side, boom, other side, finished it. And then we absolutely steamrolled them in the last game. I think St. Louis just, they didn't know how to, again, just a flourish in the second, and ended up 6-2. It was over. Vancouver advances, which we haven't seen. We haven't been in the playoffs for like 4 or 5 years now, and it hasn't been pretty to see. But it's good to see good hockey coming back. And this team, like I said, it's just coming of age, and it's one of those stories of a young team playing without fear. Who cares if we go out? We were meant to be here, in a sense. And they're just playing amazingly well, and obviously knocking out the defending champs is fantastic. And got to give it to some of the players, like Mott stepped up, Miller obviously always stepping up. Bo Horvat has played out of his mind. Elias Pettersson, he's phenomenal. Like I've always mentioned, he's like our Luka Doncic. And tell you what, Markstrom in goal though. What a tough year he's had. He lost his father earlier in the year. Still playing without a contract. He's essentially playing without a contract because he's out of. But we need to snap him up because he's been another level right now. He's probably the reason we're in the second round. Unfortunately, the second round comes. We're playing the Vegas Golden Knights, which could be the number 1 seed. It could be a bit.
We shall
rough.
see.
I don't think Travis Green is happy with that draw, but who knows? If we can get a game, it'll be a victory. If we can win, I'll come in here. You don't want to hear me on the next podcast if we win, but
we shall see.
We shall see. But come on, go Canucks, go! That's all I'm saying.
So,
yes,
we got Spa-Francorchamps to look forward to.
Eau Rouge, baby.
Probably one of the most entertaining circuits in the F1 circuit. So, obviously, I know you think that it'll be number 7 for Lewis next week.
I know that's a bit hyperbolic statement to make, but I mean, it's Max is the only person who's going to beat him. I mean, he's in a different zone, like you said.
I just think it's going to be a big win for Mercedes. I think it'll be a bit like seeing them lap half the field, and
the only people Hamilton didn't lap were Verstappen and Bottas at Spain.
Yeah, I think obviously, like I said last week, it's a commitment track. You got to trust your car, and I think when you got a car like the 2020 Mercedes, you can just have absolute faith in it, and I think that'll put big time deficits on the Mercedes cars. Personally, for me,
well, just think about that. You think down into La Source, who's got the advantage? Yeah, Mercedes. You go up to Eau Rouge and Radion, who's got the advantage? Mercedes. You go to the Kemmel Straight, who's got the advantage? Mercedes. Yeah. Down to Pouhon, you just take in straight. They're just too good. The car's too good. Hamilton's too good. We've got to see about conditions as well, because we don't know what Belgium's like
at this time. If it's boiling hot, Mercedes could have problems.
Yeah, that's where this is it's amazing that the only thing stopping Mercedes right now is a bit of sun.
Yeah.
Like literally.
Damp track, Mercedes. Not wet track, damp.
Even wet, mate.
Dew.
Even wet, it's going to be Mercedes, isn't it? But a little bit of sun, and all of a sudden it's all hands to pump, because they're like, oh God, it's going to happen again.
Too much tired egg.
But we'll see next week,
What about any other sport you're looking forward to next week that you think we'll be covering? Obviously, you said the Eastern Conference will be wrapped up.
Yeah, the Eastern Conference is almost wrapped up anyway, but the first round will be wrapped up, and then we can go into that. It'll be interesting to see who comes out of the second round. Like, if the Mavericks come out, God, it throws a real span into the works. Yeah. Big if the Clippers can't get past them. I still think they will. So I said 4-2, so I'm gonna might be a game 7. You never know. Game 7, baby. Luka may do it, but we got a lot of sport to talk about. We got rugby coming back now.
Yeah, I think obviously there's been some Premiership games this week, but I didn't get the chance to watch much of it. No. So I'll try and catch up on it for next week, and we can cover sort of the state of the Championship.
I was into a little other quote sport. This weekend, it's a bit preoccupied, but
yeah. So we've got the rugby. There won't be any cricket, so we'll have to park the slipcord.
I think it's being retired a bit, mate.
Stop playing.
Get the covers out for get the covers out for cricket
anything
chat.
Else? Obviously, you said the hockey.
Yeah, maybe some more UFC or boxing. Who knows?
Yeah, obviously we've got no Premier League. You have no Premier League or any football or anything.
So football's on a bit of a hiatus as well.
Yeah, football's on its arse. Will be out.
Football's on its arse. He's on its arse now. So But yeah.
So we shall wrap it up.
Yes.
It's very late after all these technical difficulties. I know we both keen to get some rest.
Definitely some cuts in there we need to make.
So this will probably be going up on Tuesday. So if you've made it this far, thank you so much for listening.
Are you crazy if you made it this far?
I mean, I'm checking the time now. 1 hour 15 minutes. So
that's solid, mate. It's good for us.
It'll probably be a little bit after we cut out some of our terrible mistakes, but
I think the tiredness has got to us, mate.
Yeah.
The night shift. I'm used to this, but you're not.
So I'm gonna go get some sleep.
I am as well, I think.
And thank you so much for tuning in wherever you might be listening from. Like I said, make sure you go down in the description, check out our social media links, drop a like, drop a sub. Honestly, the likes and subs, really appreciate it. Share it around to your friends. Go make sure you follow us on Instagram at Everyday Pundits, Twitter at Everyday Pundits. And
I know we said this early, but definitely have a look out for that website. It will be coming. Unfortunately, neither of us are web developers, and it's actually really hard. So goddamn GDPR, mate. Honestly.
But thank you so much for tuning in. We will see you next week. Cheers, Ev.
Cheers, mate. Stay golden.